What's up, guys? Hello to Footballtalk here. The two teams facing off in Super Bowl LVIII are now set, with the Chiefs and the 49ers. At the time of you listening to this, I'm probably already watching some random Week 9 game from one of these sides, as I prepare another super detailed preview of the title game. But before we move on to talking about who will ultimately hoist the Lombardi Trophy, I felt that it was necessary to quickly discuss why the Lions aren't representing the NFC in the big game. Head coach Dan Campbell has gotten a lot of crap due to his team failing on a couple of fourth down attempts, but not only was that aggressiveness instrumental in them even getting to this point, but I will run for about a 15-minute stretch from that game in order to show you that everything went wrong for them, including those two plays. I don't have a cool intro here because I'm already focused on the Super Bowl, so let's get straight to the third quarter with 7 minutes left. Detroit dominated the first half, rushing for 148 yards on 21 carries, converting 5 of 7 third down attempts, and possessing the ball for 18 minutes. While San Francisco, outside of one touchdown drive, missed a field goal, had an interception, and a 3-and-out. So after they were able to add a field goal to start the second half, it was 24-10 Lions, with the ball at the opposing 28-yard line, leading to a first big decision on 4th and 2. They come out in a condensed 3-by-1 set, with a quasi-tight bunch to the right, as you have this stack slightly detached from the tight end, and the back flank the other way. They get all 5 guys out in the pattern, with a curl flat concept basically into the boundary, with Jahmyr Gibbs on an out, and a variation of a scissors concept the other way, with Sam Laporta on a little hook after chipping the edge off a delayed release. Defensively, you may consider this a split safety look, but with number 27 Jair Brown already down on the edge of the box, and the field side safety already slightly tilted towards the deep post, this rather expectedly becomes cover 3, with the weak side safety having to close out quickly into the flats, whilst the nickel to the field has to play a little bit softer, with the 2 vertical releases coming at him. So theoretically there should be an opening here for the tight end into that space between the Mike backer and the nickel once he curls this up. But due to the technique of the backside corner having to play top down, the curl over here to Josh Reynolds is the best answer. And as we let this roll, you can see that it's right there. Goff does a nice job of navigating up into the pocket, and I would say that he didn't need to be as conservative leading his receiver back towards him with a low ball and make this an easier catch, but Reynolds is a good 5 yards past the first down marker, so there's really no reason for him not to be aggressive, working back down the stem, and then this is still a very catchable ball. Not easy, but one that you have to make in that situation more often than not. And he just can't. But only 2 plays later, they get a chance to get the ball right back when San Francisco calls up the shot play off play action. George Kittle comes in motion and helps secure the edge, along with pulling the left guard, with a deep call by Debo on the backside, and the post from Brandon Ayuk the other way, along with a cross out of the slot, with a couple of delayed checkdown options. I can't say 100% if this was supposed to be cover 3 for Detroit maybe, and if a check where if the slot works across the field, the deep middle safety John C. Gardner-Johnson steps down for it. But to me this looks like an inverted version of cover 2, where those corners bail out deep, and number 2 is basically a Tampa 2 runner for anybody trying to split those 2 corners with how wide they are based on their alignment. Since 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy probably reads this as a middle of the field closed look, but sees the safety play flat-footed, he alerts to take that shot, expecting Ayuk to take this on a steeper angle in a one-on-one matchup, when really it should be hit with a flatter trajectory between those 2 deep defenders, somewhere here between the hashes. So all Ayuk can do here is stretch out one arm for the ball, which may be enough to distract the corner Cam Sutton. But this is one of those moments where people will tell you that's why he's playing defense, as the ball goes right off his face mask, and the receiver hauls it in for a 51-yard grab. The refs ended up picking up this flag, by the way, and I wouldn't rule out that they did this due to the catch being made, and otherwise there would have been a penalty for pass interference. But one of those moments symbolic for letting those chances slip right through the hands in the second half, as Purdy hit Ayuk on a slant route for a touchdown on 3rd and goal moments later. Very next play from scrimmage for Detroit, they bring Laporta on short motion out of a tight bunch and run a pin and pull towards where he just came from. Great job by the down safety number 31 Deshaun Gibson here to ID run instead of blindly following the motion, not allowing number 8 to pin him down here from the condensed alignment, and meeting Gibbs in the hole before Dre Greenlaw slides off his block and punches the ball out. You don't quite see it perfectly, but once again, Gibson stands up the rookie initially. Left tackle Taylor Decker is a little bit confused with the motion not being trailed and that he can seal off Greenlaw here, who takes advantage of that opening and immediately attacks the ball, forcing a massive fumble and giving his offense the ball right back. The Lions kill a screen to the tight end George Kittle on the next snap, but then on 2nd and 11, totally lose the quarterback here. I'm not going to draw up any X's and O's because they do have the pass concept covered, but as Purdy turns down his in-cut to Debo because he gets walled off just a little bit and slips through the crease up the middle, Kittle recognizes that he needs to turn into a block against his middle linebacker, and then it's just some poor tackling, allowing Purdy to get all the way inside the 5-yard line of Detroit. Before Christian McCaffrey punches in a touchdown 2 plays later, tying up the score at 24-all. Next up, we've got back-to-back open throws created by offensive coordinator Ben Johnson that should have gotten them close to midfield, but they don't end up cashing in on either one. 2x2 set with the tight end and the receiver in a tight split to the right here. They bring Amon-Ra St. Brown the other way in speed motion behind the slot, and end up with cross releases on both sides here, as they've got what I'd call a bench concept at the top, and then drive the other way, and then the back sitting down over the middle as soon as he realizes that there's no blitzer to pick up here. The Niners mug up middle linebacker Fred Warner here into the A-gap, but actually do something similar to the Lions earlier on the big ricochet catch from Ayuk, where they run a slightly altered version of inward cover 2, as this time the nickel bails out into the deep half along with the backside safety, while number 31 Gibson, the actual deep middle safety originally here, steps down to pick up any threats between the hashes. Goff makes the right read here when he sees Fred Warner drive down his drag route to hit Laporta on the in-cuts or dig behind it, but he doesn't choose the right ball placement, as he should be stopping his tight end in this window here, which is what the rookie expects as well, rather than leading him into Gibson, who is able to separate him from the ball on the collision. What really hurts now though is on 3rd and 9, when he motions St. Brown across the formation to go from 2x2 into a 3x1, with the tight end as the backside receiver. I'm not really sure what they call it. I'd probably refer to it as a divide concept by the 3 wide receiver side, with those 2 in-cuts by the inside guys and a comeback outside, along with the tight end on a delayed drag working across here, and the back flaring out into the flats on the backside. Niners are in straight cover 1, so man free, and this is actually a well-run route by number 8 Josh Reynolds of pushing number 2 Deommodore Lenoir up the field before bending this across. Watch the separation that he creates here. Wide open, ball is right on the money, but it doesn't extend for it, but rather lets it hit him in the stomach, and it falls to the ground to send Detroit free and out. However, their punter Jack Fox is about to bail them out with what could have been maybe the greatest punt I've ever seen in the playoffs. The Niners are worried about the fake, which the Lions run more than any other team in the league, and both the gunners able to get by their opponents due to not being challenged at the line of scrimmage. The returner lets this ball go, expecting it to roll into the end zone, but it actually bounces straight up into the air at the 1-yard line, 73 yards away from where the punter boomed it. But number 27 Jace Lucas just loses his mind and where he is on the field, walking backwards over the goal line and touching the ball, which results in a touchback, but he should have fielded it as if he was the returner here. Massive missed opportunity that ends up giving the 49ers 19 yards of field position. Again, very next play from scrimmage, you're about to create a negative play and massively impact the opportunity to score on this drive. As Debo comes across to make this a 2x2 set, with a tight end and the fullback over here. The Lions again are playing a variation of cover 2, but they've got the deep safety shaded to one side, and the backside corner bailing out deep, while the Mike backer runs the pole here. And the key is that they bring the nickel from the field, Ifeatu Melifonwu, on the blitz off the edge, while slanting the D-line the other way. The Niners run Mills on the Twins side over here, and then have a backside corner route by Kyle Juszczyk, along with Kittle coming across in the drag. And you can see in a second here, McCaffrey totally misses the blitzer, who doesn't show what he's doing initially, but then creates a direct path towards the quarterback here, while the routes downfield take too long to develop, but somehow Purdy's able to spin out of that whoopee sack as the linebacker rallies up to him. He flicks this running to the left to his fullback at the sideline for a beautiful toe tap catch. And that possession would end up in a field goal for the Niners to give them the first lead of the day at 27-24. The Lions trying to answer now. They hit on explosives through the air and on the ground to get them to the San Francisco 37 in just a couple of plays, and they go for the kill shot here. Flea flick of a duo run or inside zone fake with 3 receivers in the pattern, as this turns into a half-hearted drive combination out of the stack basically. But really it's all about Jameson Williams over here, who more than just bluffs the crackback on the down safety, but actually runs into him before taking off down the sideline. This looks like cover 3 defensively, but with this corner number 20 Embry Thomas having to replace for the safety in the run game here, this is all about leading the ball away from the post safety, which Goff is able to do here. The rookie safety actually does a good job of closing out here, probably affecting the receiver just enough, but the ball is pretty much perfect here. It appears that the speedy receiver slows down for just a split second, and the ball ends up going right through his hands. Once again, not a gimme by any means, but the type of potential game-winning play that this group simply couldn't cash in on throughout the second half. Which ultimately leads us to this, 4th and 3. I would have personally tried to tie up the game here, but we'll get to that in a second. Dan Campbell and company decide to go for it, and if they have enough time here protection-wise, which they did for most of the day, they probably pick this up. Empty set, slightly condensed look with sort of this loose bunch on the left side, and it's stacked the other way. This is supposed to be a mesh concept, with this little triangle you're trying to create over the middle here, a glance by the flanker, and the back flaring out into the flats. Yet because Laporta and Gibbs has to chip off the edges, while St. Brown is pressed at the line of scrimmage, the timing's thrown off just a little bit, and Goff probably doesn't feel comfortable of letting this develop. If he stands in a little bit longer, you'll see that J-Mo comes free on the under route, as the Niners this time are in straight cover 2. But they also run this twist with the 2 defensive tackles here, who both end up coming free and flushing off to the right side, away from where J-Mo is going, and you can see that there would be a lot of space out here if you can get this ball out, but now this takes this off the table. Goff tries to hook up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who expects to take this vertical, and I'm not sure if he's wrong necessarily, but the ball ends up hopping a couple of yards short of him. One of the very few calls that I didn't love necessarily, and one of the only times the protection didn't really hold up, but it came in the biggest moment. And then I'll just throw in one more clip here, as symbolically the 49ers went from being pinned down by their opponents, put those guys in a chokehold, and here they finally break their neck. It's 3rd and 4 from midfield, and this may actually be Detroit's best rep in man coverage, as they call straight cover 1, with a lot of moving parts before and at the snap, to stress those defenders. But outside of maybe Ayuk breaking across the field late here, yet what happens? Purdy slides up through the B gap as the walls are closing in on him, and then Alex Anzalone is a little too aggressive with his angle down against the quarterback. He can't trip him up on the diving tackling attempt, and Purdy goes for 21 yards. McCaffrey breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage and rips off another 25 on the next snap on the toss play, which sets up the final touchdown for the 49ers. As on the first carry of the day, backup running back Elijah Mitchell punches this in from 3 yards away, which put the Niners up by 10. The Lions will put together a touchdown drive after that, with Jameson Williams catching this one in the end zone, but failed to recover the ensuing onside kick, and ultimately have to watch the Niners advance to another Super Bowl. So I understand that you can question the 2 big 4th down decisions by Campbell, but the discourse around it is just ridiculous, frankly. Their aggressive decision making is a key factor in how they even got here. It's who they are, and a big reason for it is the fact that they have a great offensive play call in Ben Johnson to draw up advantageous looks for those opportunities, coming back afterwards on a 50-50 call, which is basically what it would have been based on the analytics as well, since his favorite talking heads love taking that vague term and ripping people for it on Monday probably, is lazy, and with the hindsight of them failing twice, even though the plays I thought were there to be made. To quickly offer some numbers, for the 2023 season, the Lions were converting at a massive 80% rate on 4th and 3 or less, while the kicker Michael Badgley, who wasn't even on the team until week 16 by the way, for his career is 13 of 24 on field goal attempts of 45 to 50 yards, which both of those kicks would have been. So like I said, I would have personally taken the field goal to tie the game up at 27 on that second one, but based on probability, you can absolutely defend the thinking here before we even get to the idea of what this team's mantra has been during Campbell's entire tenure. If you're a Lions player and the team is starting to get really tense as the 49ers are starting to make their comeback, think of what may be going on in your head when now you see your coach suddenly make atypical decisions in those moments. What would happen to your confidence? If you want to talk about how Detroit collapsed or choked or whatever you want to say, let's start with the ball going off Kindle Vildor's face mask instead of being an interception, Josh Reynolds dropping passes on key downs, the fumble by Jahmyr Gibbs, and how a guy running in the mid 4.8s in Purdy suddenly turns into an unstoppable force scrambling to kill the defense's back. The only decision that was clearly wrong, and it has nothing to do with any numbers other than the seconds left on the clock, was when they ran the ball on 3rd and goal with about a minute left and cost themselves a timeout, which could have allowed them to get the ball back with about half a minute, even if they didn't recover the onside kick. But still, with the way that San Francisco was rolling, there's certainly no guarantee that the defense would have been able to create a 3 and out. Tremendous season by the Lions. As the head coach said directly to the team, it's unlikely that things fall the right way for them again next year, because they can't skip the 90% of the way they had gone up to this point. But there's no reason to question the guy leading them there, which is why the OC just announced that he's staying for another year, despite some head coaching opportunities. They just ran into a group that had more experience at that stage, and they had those guys on the ropes through the first half. So let's celebrate what they did here, and now focus on the teams that actually made the plays necessary to compete for a championship. That's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe for future episodes, and feel free to share this with a buddy of yours who was talking shit, because of course they're smarter than an NFL team, based on judging the results rather than the process behind it. Once again, my focus will now shift on the big preview that I have on Super Bowl LVIII, whilst I'm also grinding through Shrine Bowl and Senior Bowl practice tape, which I'll have a report on the biggest standouts, and maybe some follows from those college all-star events after the big game. Be on the lookout for that, and the easiest way to do so is to follow me on social media or subscribing to my blog, hello@footballtalk.com. Links for that are down below in the video description. So until then, see you later. Peace!